Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday, November 16th, 5 days until our Thanksgiving break. Oh, I just cannot wait for that week off. I hope that you are as excited as I am. Let's go ahead and get started. We are in Era 3 of the Constitution, and we will be finishing it this week. This is the last couple of days that we're going to look at important historical documents and the big ideas behind them. So this past week, we looked at differences and changes between the Articles of Confederation, the first plan of government that didn't work, and how they formed the government into a new document called the Constitution. Delegates at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia agreed that the Articles of Confederation needed to be fixed. Below is a chart reviewing how representatives corrected issues in the new government plan called the Constitution. So 1787 is that big date. So no executive branch and no judicial branch. The solution was, of course, to create those two branches, giving that sense of checks and balances to avoid a tyrant. A weak central government could not tell any state what to do, which we realized in Shays' Rebellion was a problem. And the solution was to give the federal government more power, okay? Not being able to tax left the government broke, and a broke government can't do much. The solution was to allow taxing in all of the states. And finally, our legislative branch compromises. Each state only had one vote in the legislative branch, and the solution was to split it into two sections, okay, where we had the big states and the small states happy. And this is pretty much the big idea from last week. So what we're going to do is take a minute to do some writing. Which change from the chart do you believe was the most important in securing the nation? Let's go ahead and share out. Thank you for sharing. Now let's move into our new lesson for today. And the big word is ratify. Sometimes we might read ratification. It means to make something official, okay? Today we will identify the major issues in the Constitution ratification debate. Why is this important? Delegates wanted to ensure individual rights were protected by the government. And finally, how you will do this? I will read quotes and identify if the speaker is a Federalist or an anti-Federalist. So you can see that these two people are having quite an argument, which is a synonym for the word debate. This is a 2-year argument over the ratification or making official the Constitution. So we're going to go ahead and spiral back to this big idea of federalism, that balance of power between the states and federal government. The idea was that with two levels of leadership, local leaders and federal leaders, we could secure the nation, okay? And of course, we're trying to balance this out during the Constitutional Convention. And even today, federalism is a big point of discussion in the news lately. How did this figure into ratification? Well, was the Constitution ready to become official? Was it ready to be ratified? Two groups or teams came to debate if the new plan was complete. One team versus the other, both attempting to ensure the new plan was perfect. So as you can see, we had a group called the Federalists, who included people like Hamilton, Madison, and Jay, three gentlemen who argued that the Constitution was perfect the way it was and was ready to be ratified. And they are called the Federalists, a lot like that word federalism. Now, this other team of players, the anti-federalists, the prefix anti means against. They're against the Constitution as it is, okay? And they included people like Henry, Mason, and Adams. Now, what did they want? What did each team want? That's what we're going to look at next, okay? So a good start is anti. What are they against? They're against the Constitution at this point. What do they think? What do they want? We're going to look at page 49 to see what they want, okay? So let me switch over to our notebook, okay? The Constitution was completed in 1787. The next step was having the states vote to make the new government plan official, ratify. The next 2 years were a full-on debate. The main issue was the balance of power between the states and federal, central, national government. A group of men who believed the federal government needed strength to secure the nation wrote a series of documents called the Federalist Papers. The purpose was to convince all 13 states to ratify the Constitution. Here's a rundown of the two sides of the ratification debate. So if you can think about it, the Federalists, this team of players, actually writes a bunch of essays trying to persuade or convince the states to sign. That's what the Federalist Papers were, written by Federalists to persuade for the ratification of the Constitution. With your teacher, you're going to be reading through these characteristics of each team, one saying yes and one saying no to the Constitution. Big idea here, guys. The Anti-Federalists wanted a Bill of Rights added to the Constitution to ensure individual freedoms were protected, okay? And down below today's activity, for each of the following quotes, you need to name the team, so Federalist or Anti-Federalist, and whether they supported strong federal or state governments, okay? So you're just going to kind of fill this in. And down at the bottom here, we have space for you to type in your own quote. Think about what these people wanted and jot down some words. What would they say? What would they be saying to each other, okay? That's it for today, guys. Remember, we're almost done. We're almost done. We can push through this week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.